Tennessee Wildcast is live on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Drum roll, please. Hey, everybody. It's Jason Harmon. Glad y'all are tuning in. This is Tennessee Wildcast, and pretty excited about today's show. We are in Nashville today, but we're going to be talking about Asian carp, and those are mainly found out in West Tennessee. But we have Mr. Eric Gaines with us today. He's our commercial fishing coordinator for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm doing just fine.
Good to have you. And Mr. Don King co-hosting with me today. How are you doing, Don?
Good, Jason. Thanks for the invite.
Glad to have both of y'all here today, and I'm excited to talk about the Asian Carp Harvest Incentive Program. So there's some opportunities out there for folks to, or there's some incentive for folks to harvest some Asian carp.
That's true.
And we'll dig into the details of that in a few minutes. But Eric, let's just real quick. I don't think this is on the agenda, but let's put you on the spot. Your background. How did you come to Tennessee? What brought you to Tennessee? Is it working our fisheries division?
Well, I guess luck. I had worked with mostly through the university system first as research assistants or technicians, and then I had actually moved to Maryland for a job and had worked there for 5 months with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and was fortunate that Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency gave me a call, came in for an interview, and 14 years later, here I am.
All right. Hey, how'd you get involved in the outdoors? I mean, what prompted you to be interested in fisheries or anything outdoors?
Well, we've always been outdoors with our family. Grew up on a farm, West Tennessee. So really enjoyed the outdoors, nature, fishing always, and family. We were always invested and trying to do as much as we could with hunting and fishing, and that's just been a kind of natural evolution and going to college and with where I am today.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. Most people that work here love the outdoors. You know, most everybody here hunts or fishes, or at least gets out and enjoys nature somehow. So, I know you grew up in West Tennessee and I had a farm out there, so that's cool. So, Tennessee native, is commercial fishing coordinator for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. But first, before we get into the meat of today's discussion, how about we go ahead and jump to
Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
Get your questions answered. TWRA Q&A. Q&A.
It is a new year, and we're already getting questions.
Yeah, that's right. That's a common question. After the first of the year, people start wondering, hey, how long is my license good for?
Right.
Well, right up to the end of February. So February 28th, which is the day a lot of the small game seasons end and that sort of thing. So anyway, it's timed out that you can buy your new license beginning on February 18th. Every year. So you get a little head start, and of course it doesn't go into effect till March 1, but February 18th, you can mark that down every year. You can buy your new license and maximize it so you get the full 365 days of use out of it.
Exactly. So if you go to our website, tnwildlife.org, click on Buy a License, you can scroll down. Right there at the very top, actually. You don't have to scroll very far. Annual licenses are valid March 1st, and they run through the last day of February, just like Don said. And they go on sale February 18th each year. This page also has all kinds of information on how to apply for quota hunts, boating registration, all your licenses and permits, all the forms you might need if you want to do a lifetime license, and all that good stuff right here. And that's on our website, tnwildlife.org. So,
And the hard cards are available as well. So the little plastic card that you can, the kind of credit card size that's a new wrinkle we added a couple of years ago that you can do the fish, the deer. Anyway, a couple of selections there.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if we had a third selection. I'm sure we'll have more coming out pretty soon.
Yeah.
And those deer and the fish especially were popular choices. So, all right, well, I think that concludes our TWRA Q&A.
All right.
What'd you think, Eric?
It was a good Q&A. We need to sell as many licenses as possible.
Yeah. So let's jump into the Asian Carp Harvest Incentive Program. And my first question, which seems to be my first question in a lot of these shows, an overview or why. So tell us about the program and just a simple overview of the Asian Carp Harvest Incentive Program.
Well, I think it's first pretty important to kind of lay out we've had an issue with carp in the Mississippi Basin for several decades actually, and whether or not the general public is aware of that, we started to notice those in the mid '80s and '90s in the Mississippi River, and then the agency started noticing several in the reservoir. I think that was late 2000s, and of course we had heard lots from the angling community out there with sport anglers, and our biologists started to see those and pick those up in sampling gear. So that was kind of the we do have those in the system now. What can we do about it?
Right.
So we came up with. Someone came up with. Who came up with the program?
Well, I think it's it's an agency. We're all in on this. So, the agency got together, and kind of devised, hey, we need to have a good direction to assist in the removal of Asian carp. So, the Asian Carp Harvest Incentive Program was kind of the name that we came up with, and it was good. It's kind of catchy. And
ACHIP.
ACHIP.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was Ruffles or Lay's.
Plain potato.
Okay.
But, the discussion with the incentive program goes back several years, actually. So, community leaders, business types along the Tennessee and Cumberland River, along with their sport fishing community, state representatives, got together, and it talks had, kind of carried over, how can we make fishing better? How can we remove carp so that we don't have the issues that some other states have had?
It's sort of supply and demand, isn't it? There's a big supply right now, and we're trying to create more demand. For the fish,
and that's where the ACHIP program kind of evolved and came into. So we got with wholesale fish dealers to kind of talk about the process. How is the best way that, as an agency working with the businesses that we currently have, the wholesale fish dealers in Tennessee, how could we kind of get this process going?
Right.
And so they kind of came up with, we're already buying those fish. So it was there. We said, well, is there a way that we can assist you and hopefully have more people harvest carp and kind of grow that business? And they said, well, we have the cost, that they're being paid currently was a little bit low, so the interest wasn't necessarily there. So again, the incentive came up, and so we came up with adding 7 cents over the market price, and to get more fishermen, get interest out there.
Yeah. Create that demand.
Yeah.
So the program is funded through the marine fuel tax, correct?
Correct.
And then did the program originate in Tennessee? Is that what I'm seeing here on some of the notes we've got? September 18th?
September the 18th is what the start date was.
Okay.
But
it began, that's when we started in Tennessee.
That's when we started in Tennessee. Several other states, or a couple of other states, have a program.
Okay.
Illinois has one. Kentucky now has one. But that's this one our started.
Gotcha. So many other states are trying out this
They are, and just
program.
in different ways. They have different mechanisms that work best for them, and this is what we went to first. And if we need to evolve the program, I think we're heavily invested in doing what we can.
Yeah.
So what bodies of water are affected by Asian carp? And we'll get more in depth on the different species of Asian carp.
Sure. Well, the program is strictly for Kentucky Lake, Barkley, Cheatham, and Old Hickory currently.
Okay.
But the Mississippi River is where it was affected first. But the program is for the reservoirs.
Okay.
Right now.
Hey, just stepping back, where did these fish originate from? How did they ever get here?
Well, the aquaculture industry back in the 70s needed, ways to kind of prevent aquatic vegetation, clean their ponds up where they wouldn't necessarily have to use a herbicide, something that was more, I guess, green.
Right.
A way to go about their business, and they brought those fish over and didn't really anticipate, having an issue. They were closed aquaculture systems, or as best they could be outdoors. And of course, as the Mississippi River does flood occasionally, we had several really large floods, and those places were inundated, and those fish got out of the system, and then they flowed into the Mississippi River, and took a while, a couple of decades, but they did work their way into the reservoir system.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember, Jason, you recall too, Bill Dance did a video that we helped put together. He was out on his boat and snapping his fingers with getting him to jump in his boat, and it was kind of humorous, But on one hand, that part was humorous, but the effect they can have on the fishery is not so humorous. So
it was the first time that we tried to draw attention to an issue.
Right, and that was at least 12 years ago, wasn't it?
It was. We had a video, and Bill was gracious enough to help us out with that, and just tried to tell everybody about the issues that we possibly could have, and how if we work together we can hopefully have changes.
Right. And that's led to this program, really.
Yeah. It was this part of one program. I mean, we could have other programs at a later time, but this is the one that, like I say, we worked with current businesses that we have in developing this one. So we're pretty pleased with what we have right now.
And you touched on it a minute ago. Bill Dance has been so helpful,
Yes.
In Tennessee. I mean, he's always wearing the Power T hat,
Always got it on.
and he's Tennessee through and through, and he's been very helpful with our agency over the years, and we appreciate his support.
Yep. So let's talk about the fish itself. When I hear Asian carp, I think of the silver carp, and I think a lot of people do. But the Asian carp family, there's a lot of fish in that family of Asian carp. So tell us about those.
Well, we have Asian carp, which are the jumping carp that people are more familiar with. You see on the YouTube videos. That can be dangerous to not only the anglers of the state, but the boaters also that go out on the weekend that want to have an enjoyable weekend on the water, skiing or just being out with the family.
Right.
Enjoying the outdoors, and they can be dangerous. But we have big heads. Normally you don't see those. They're more that they don't jump. They're larger fish. We have black carp. They're something that have come into the system recently, and they eat mussels, which we're very concerned about with in the state, because we have one of the most diverse mussel populations in the world. So we're very concerned about those, as well as the Asian and bighead, and we also have grass carp. And we've had grass carp.
Grass carp have been around a long time.
Decades, they have, and we want to encourage people to have triploid grass carp that don't reproduce, but as it does happen occasionally, that the grass carp get into the system, and through circumstances, like the flood that happened in Nashville several years ago. We had some of the ponds and the golf courses that got flooded out, and the carp made their way into the system. So. Not all of those, as we've learned, were triploid. So we had a little reproduction going on there, and now we have grass carp in the system.
And all those species are eligible for the ACHIP program, correct?
All four of those, as well as common carp.
Okay.
And that's part of the program. So.
Yeah, I think we have one queued up for a close-up.
Yeah.
We do.
And you brought it. So tell us a little bit about it. You can even hand model there with it, Eric, if you want.
We have a good display that we've taken all around the state, and to show people, what Asian carp look like. Like I say, this one's about the average size, silver, silver in color. Big heads are more modeled. Like I say, they can be very large, 40, 50, 60-pound fish.
And for our radio audience, this is probably about 2 feet long. This model we're looking at here.
And we definitely hurt if that thing jumped out of the water and hit you.
Absolutely.
And those are about the size that you see on the videos, jumping and injuring people.
Yeah,
you know,
they really are.
Not necessarily even water skiers, but folks riding in the boat. You know,
absolutely.
They'll jump 10 feet in the air, and then the boat's cruising right along and can hit the passengers. It's really tough.
Yeah, like I say, this can happen, and it's something that we really don't want to have happen in the state of Tennessee.
Right.
So we're trying to do everything we can to minimize that occurrence.
And one thing, if you can, point out some of the differences that you might see in the silver versus like a gizzard shad or other shad fish that they can be confused with sometimes. What are some of the characteristics to know on the silver carp?
Well, one eye position is something that's going to be slightly different, a little bit harder to tell.
Especially when they're very, very small.
When they're very small, they really resemble, a shad. And most people, use for bait, gizzard shad people use. And that's usually about the size when people will notice them, that can. So that they're about the same size. Silver in color, of course, if you dip some up, you would be very hard-pressed to pick one out of a dip net. That's why currently in our bait proclamation, you cannot transport those fish.
Right.
So that's been a recent addition to some of our proclamations that we've had. So it's very important. Like I say, they're very difficult to tell. Mouth positions is different than you would see in a gizzard shad, more up, protruding a little bit. So those are the kind of the key things, and of course they don't have that filament off their dorsal fin. That's not there.
Okay.
And little bit of differences but most people wouldn't see a large fish like this. They'd see their bait fish. So again, it's kind of hard to describe, this fish against the bait fish. But
we do have some handout materials that have good photos of both. So
we do.
And we're trying to distribute those as much as we can. They're on our website as well.
Right, that's a good transition. Well, I'll click on our website here and let folks that are watching can see this. But our Asian Carp in Tennessee page, there's a link right off our homepage to get here. So you can kind of see the areas that are affected by Asian Carp, our management efforts, and then you can see the differences in silver and big head. And there's pictures of all these, the black and the grass carp, and good resources here to help us understand the difference and see the difference. And there's a good picture of the Asian versus what is that fish? Is that the gizzard shad?
That's the gizzard shad, yes.
For our listening audience, definitely check us out online and or check out the pages that Jason's referring to on the website. It's very good information.
Yeah, tmwildlife.org, and this is under the fish section, so very easy to find. Plus, like I said, there's a button on the home page right now that you can click and take you directly here. So, CWD and Asian Carp are some of the top issues that we're dealing with here in Tennessee. Or CWD, one trying to keep it out, and Asian Carp trying to control. So those are two hot button issues that we're working on as an agency, and we got those out there right in front of you, so you can get the information as quick as you can. So, all right, well, that's our website, and that's kind of an overview of the program here. What kind of nets and what kind of equipment and the people who are involved with this program, what are they using to catch these fish?
Well, currently they use gillnets, as most people kind of understand what a gillnet is. It's a large panel net, of course, different sizes. I guess describing the net, most people are used to a monofilament gillnet, and I say that because our sport fishing community uses a monofilament on their fishing line.
Right.
And those, the monofilament nets are tied from that. So it's one piece of monofilament, but the new nets to fish for Asian carp are multifilament. So they use a smaller strand of monofilament, and they're twisted together and tied up, and it creates a much stronger net that will hold up longer and will catch these fish. Because standard netting, they tend to go right through it. It's very difficult to catch those through a monofilament. So our commercial fishermen have slowly evolved, figured out that new process. And it's become quite effective. These nets will really double your catch whenever you're going out trying to catch Asian carp.
They're pretty resourceful, aren't they? They figure it out. They figure
do.
out ways to work around it.
That's their business. It's
Yeah.
their livelihood. And we have great commercial fishermen in the state of Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Wholesale fish dealers, they really work hard. They're part of our community, and they're really trying to help us out. So if you see one, kind of introduce yourself, say we appreciate what you do, what you're doing for the state.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing.
So, and another note I had here was the cost of these nets, and are they covered by the program? And you gave us some information before the show about this. Tell the folks at home how that's funded and how they get those nets.
The Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission gave us $500,000 for 2 years to be able to run the program. And then a portion of that was set aside for purchasing nets annually. So part of that was $30,000 that of course was bid out, and fortunate for us, Memphis Net and Twine, one of our local businesses, got that bid, and that amount of money purchased 480 nets.
Okay.
So each commercial fisherman, when they enroll in the program, and you have to enroll through the wholesale fish dealer. So you'll go to them and say, I'm interested in fishing for Asian carp. What can I do? What do I need? And first off, they'll say, hey, you need a commercial fishing license if you don't already have one. And as soon as you want to get started and everything, then they would contact me, and I would come out and deliver those nets to the commercial fishermen. And we're giving out 15 nets when you enroll in the program. I will see 15 pieces of netting material.
Yeah, it's not like you can use it right off the shelf, right?
You can. It's about a 60-40 kind of a split on the net. So the netting material is very expensive. It's 4 times more expensive than monofilament. So getting that cost share in to try to get new fishermen in the program, we want to incentivize them. Hey, get in here. You can catch fish. You can. This may change your approach with what you're currently doing. If you are a licensed commercial fisherman already, if you use this type of webbing, you'll be able to catch more fish.
Yeah.
So this is helpful for you. So like I say, those 15 pieces, they still have to buy a cord that the nets will be tied into, their floats and things, and then of course they have to pay someone to tie them up if they can't do that. So that's all goes into that cost, in kind of a 50-50, 60-40 split. So they've got money into it too.
And then one other thing I was noticing in our notes here, how to get involved, and you mentioned some of this. Do you have to be a commercial fisherman, or you have to sign up to the wholesale dealers? But just kind of an overview of how somebody can get into this if they want to.
Well, if you do have questions, feel free to call the agency. I'll be happy to speak with anyone that has interest, in fishing for Asian carp. If you're not already a commercial fisherman, I'll be happy to talk about the program with the general public. If you are a commercial fisherman, call me. You have questions about the program, then I'll try to answer as many of those as I can. I'll tell you, of course, you need to have a commercial license. You need to be in partnership with one of our contracted wholesale fish dealers. And the ACHIP program is that's what it is. The wholesale fish dealers sign up through that, and they become a contract vendor for the state of Tennessee. And then the commercial fishermen will fish for them. And then, we pay, or the wholesale fish dealer pays the commercial fisherman, and then we give that wholesale fish dealer that payment back. So the wholesale fish dealers are basically paying for it all up front. And they'll send us invoices, and we'll provide them with that payment back, that reimbursement for them, being out of pocket for that initial cost. So, it is a working relationship that we've got. And we've got 2 great wholesale fish dealers currently on the program, North American Caviar, Hart's Fish Market, Clay Young, and Dennis Duncan, those 2 owners of those businesses, and they've been great to work with. We've called them, asked them for advice. What do the commercial fishermen need? And they've been pretty forthcoming with that information.
Hey, what about the developing markets for the product? And these commercial fishermen are beginning to get the hang of catching them and at greater numbers. And what about the end product? Where they can?
Well,
market it?
It varies. We're trying, of course, to pay a little bit more money for this, and try to get the commercial fishermen to fish for those, and try to mainstream, I guess, that product. Currently, there's a business in Kentucky that will mince that product and make it into a patty or a burger.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very good, very good. You can cut that product into fillets. Not the whole fish; they're very bony. You have to really know what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
They cut those into fillets that you can bread and batter and either fry, deep fry, or you can bake or put on the grill.
Hey, I can attest to having eaten a fair amount of this fish, and it's tasty, especially the way you guys, meaning the fisheries division, has figured out how to.
We're pretty inventive.
It's kind of a nugget form. It's really good. It's little chunks.
It's awesome. I'd eat it regularly, and I have. It's good stuff.
It's a very mild fish, so it really takes on the seasoning that you'll use, and whether that's a hot seasoning, a little bit spicy, just a more or less plain batter.
And I could definitely see that used in a fish taco.
Fish tacos, fish and chips.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah.
We're going to run out of time before we probably hit everything here, but if you want to know, the commercial rules and procs are on our website.
They are.
Interested in those?
In case, the listening public is not aware that we have state laws, rules, and proclamations that govern, manage the commercial fishing in the state of Tennessee, and we work through that through proclamation and to set the rules and regulations for harvest of all the commercial species.
Well, if you want to learn more about this, visit our website, tnwildlife.org. All that information that we've talked about today, plus more, is there on our website. If you're watching, you can see the contact information for the wholesale fish dealers on the screen there, and you can also get that information through our fisheries division if you need that. But Eric, thank you for being with us today, and
It's
Don,
been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you for helping co-host. So
Sure.
that'll wrap it up for today, and this is Tennessee Wildcast. All the information you need to stay connected with the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. So thank you, guys, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.